couple of weeks ago, I shared this post inside with my community members, and the post was about how jumping from one program to another is actually a form of procrastination. And I know a lot of coaches out there going from one masterclass to another masterclass or bootcamp to bootcamps or these workshop to workshop. And in reality, it's really about the inability to implement what you have learned and actually put them and seeing the result that you want. So one of the community members replied and said, the problem of being a coach and having that mindset of seeing everything as an opportunity is really the reason why a lot of coaches procrastinate. And there's so many things, so many lessons that's out there. So if you're finding yourself learning from one source to another and jumping from one program and then to another, this might be the reason. But this is only one tip of the iceberg in terms of all the things that you would like to do in your coaching business, but you just somehow could not get to it. So today we're going to talk about why constantly jumping from one program to another or one learning resource to another is the biggest roadblock, and what are the 5 mistakes that coaches are currently making that is very deadly and costly. So let's get started. Hey, you're listening to Make It Visible podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kuei. I am a visibility marketing coach and soon to be your business bestie in the coaching business world. Not knowing how to connect with your audience, grab people's attention, and get them excited to buy from you should never be the reason you give up on your dream to become a full-time coach. I'm all about making marketing the easiest part of your coaching business so that you can turn a passion for coaching into a visible and profitable reality. So buckle up, ladies. Let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the 5 mistakes that coaches are making that can be really deadly in your coaching business. And this is the reason why you find yourself in the learning trap. Mistake number 1 is you're finding yourself in a constant learning trap. There's so many information out there and new things are going to come up as you progress and grow your coaching business. And you're going to see that there are some skills that you absolutely need in order to keep moving forward. And there are skills that it's just nice to have. But somehow you find yourself signing up after masterclasses, and workshops, and you continue to take these lessons from different sources because you're thinking that maybe different strategies will help you do a little more. But what you don't realize is that by going into different sources, you end up taking bits and pieces from this coach, that coach, and you're trying to put the pieces of puzzle together. So instead of having the big picture, now you have little tiny pieces here and there, and it just doesn't make sense. And so instead of having that clarity of exactly what I need to do next, you find yourself in this situation where not only do you find yourself overwhelmed and you have no idea of where to begin because everyone's approach is very different. So my suggestion is stick to what you need the most. Understand in which season of your coaching business that you're currently on. Perhaps you're 1 to 3 years in your coaching business and you're still trying to figure out your niche statement. You're still trying to figure out where's my ideal clients and how do I connect with them? How do I talk to them? And perhaps that is something that you need to learn from one source and one source only. So until you master that, do not attempt to pick up new skills or new knowledge because that will only put you in an analysis paralysis state. Now, if you are someone who's moving forward and you're ready to scale, maybe you're looking into launch your business, maybe you're looking into email marketing, all these different type of strategy where you can expand your coaching business, perhaps that is exactly what you need to learn. But again, you want to stick to one learning resource, master that before you jump into the next. Otherwise, things are just going to be very scattered and you're confused and there's just so many things to do. New things is always going to come up. And so you don't want to be in that constant learning trap where you're not actually seeing any progress. Mistake number 2 is lack of implementation. So this one is actually related to the last one that we talked about. You have all these learning tools and skills that you have collected over the years. And then somehow you just never implemented them. And you can learn from one teacher, but one teacher can only show you through the door. It's up to you to actually walk through that door and take some action step in order to see the result that you want. So mistake number 2 is not implementing them. So you find yourself continue to have these learning, and it's like collecting tons of cookbook, reading it from cover to cover, but yet nothing really came out from the oven. So remember, information is only valuable as application. So once you learn it, implement it, test it out, run with it, and this way your result can tell you what your next step would be. Mistake number 3 is to give up too quickly. Once you learn the skill, you implementing it, and this is a common mistake, and I was guilty of it because when I first started out, I implement something. It was a workshop that I had offered, and if I don't see any signed ups, I quickly assume that the workshop is not working. This is not working. And so I give up quickly and just not touch it again. But in reality, what you want to do is you want to implement it, see the result, and if something is not working, there's a reason why it's not working. So this is an activity I do all the time with my student, and including myself, is every launch, what I would do is I would sit down and ask myself what was working well and what's not working. And so this way I can focus on what is not working and how I can make it better the next time around. And so you want to continue to give yourself assessment in terms of all the things that you're doing in your coaching business, what went well, including your discovery call. I remember this is something that I do every discovery call. After the call, I would sit down and ask myself what went well on that call and what would I like to implement in the next call. This process is important because then you can identify where is the loophole and how do you go back and fix it so that you close the loop quickly. And this is the process I implement in my own business all the time, is by asking what went well and what can I do better next time. This way I can see the opportunity of how I can run with it again, repeat, and so that I can rinse out and flush out all the things that didn't work this time. So don't give up quickly if you don't see the result that you desire. There's something that's in your work that we need to look at. Because essentially there is no perfect strategy. There's a strategy that works for you. And in order for you to identify what is that perfect strategy for you, we need to learn from the mistake that we have made and either tweak it or perfect it or make it better next time so that we can continue to grow and thrive. Mistake number 4 is niching down too early. I know this is so controversial because there's so many different schools of thoughts when it comes to niching. Some said you need to niche down as early, as quickly as possible. Others said don't niche down. My philosophy is simple, and this goes back to business marketing 101. And your market will create demand, and your demand will create supply. So if you niche down too quickly without understanding what your market actually needs and wants, then you're creating a supply and you're putting yourself into this tiny little bubble where there is no demand on the things that people will want to buy. And there's a lot of example of how niching down too quickly and too early or too narrow can actually hurt your business than actually helping it. So for example, you remember the Segway that had came out where it's all about revolutionizing people's transportation. And it costs $5,000 for the damn thing, but it has no practical use. If I live in the city and it's a short distance, I can simply just walk to where I want to be. Why would I want to spend $5,000 on a Segway to get me there? And same thing with long distance. If I have to drive, why would I want to purchase the Segway? So niching down too quickly can actually hurt you. And if there's no demand from your market, then you're going to find yourself having a hard time getting people booking the discovery call with you, and they don't see the value of why they should hire you. So while niching down is probably a good idea, but you don't want to do it too quickly without understanding your market and what is it that people want from you. And that is the most important thing and the most important questions that you should be asking yourself. Mistake number 5 is not niching down when it is time. This is contradictory to mistake number 4, where I talked about niching it down too quickly. But when it is time, you do want to niche it down so that you can serve the ideal perfect clients that you are passionate about in serving. And these are the people who you can make the most impact with. And so the key to getting paying clients is about getting into conversation where your potential client would be. So what you want to do, especially in the beginning of your coaching business, is to come up with a core message statement as quickly as possible. What this statement will do is it's going to serve as the foundation of how you position yourself and your business in the market so that you can get into those conversations with your potential clients. This is why I'm hosting Visibility Marketing Bootcamp that's coming up April 15 through 19, because I noticed the biggest struggles that a lot of coaches are having is not knowing what to say and how to say it in order to get their audience to click, like, and buy. And so one of the exercises I'm going to take you through this Visibility Marketing Bootcamp is that you're going to be able to identify and come up with that core message so that you can get out there and start the conversation with your potential client, which will then create the demand so that you can create the supply or your service that will get them into your coaching business program. So what's the bottom line here? Today, I have shared 5 deadly mistakes that's holding you back in this procrastination and a constant learning loop. You got to remember, broaden your horizon is great. But when it comes to growing your coaching business, it's important to understand it's how deep you go and not just scratching the surface of a system or strategies that you have learned. And you got to take them into implementation to see the result. And even if you don't see the result that you desire, you got to stand back and reassess in terms of what have worked and what needs to be improved so that you can continue to improving the process and the system. And some might argue that there's no effective and no effortless way of building your coaching business. Everything takes work and it's going to take you years in order to get there. But I would argue otherwise, because there's definitely an effortless and effective way of building your coaching business. But all it takes is someone to actually show you step by step of how to get there using the least amount of time and money that's wasted. By avoiding these 5 mistakes that I have talked about, you can get there faster than I did. And it might take someone 20 years to get there, but if you're learning from the step that others have taken and avoiding the mistake that holds you back in this learning trap, then the action that you're taking and implementing yourself, I don't see why you can get there faster. So until then, keep coaching. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for listening to Make It Visible podcast. If you love this episode and want deeper support for your coaching business, head over to elevatelifecoaching.org and see how we can partner together to turn your passion into a profitable business. I help female coaches launch and scale their coaching business faster than ever without wasted time and money, filling the gaps in your marketing strategies, creating a simple and easy to follow system so you can accelerate on the path of coaching business that you love to wake up to. Head over to elevatelifecoaching.org and grab a free strategy audit today.